Are you a Christian mom looking to run a business, or maybe you're currently running a business from home and you're just wondering, am I even doing the right thing? Are Christian moms allowed to work? Should they be working? Is it blessed by God if I'm a working mom? My name is Morgan Remuth, and I am a working stay-at-home mom of 3 boys ages 4 and under. I myself have personally struggled with lots of feelings of guilt and shame, and I want to share some things today that helped me overcome those feelings and really helped me to step into the calling that God has for me as a working stay-at-home mom. If you like what I have to say, I want to personally invite you over to my Facebook group. It's a support group for working stay-at-home moms. And over there, we have lots of tips and tricks and just kind of daily hacks for what helps me in my life. I also am going to have some live Q&A sessions over there. So I'd love to see you over there. If you find value in this video today, I'll put the link in the top comment and the description below so that you can find your way over there. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Working as a stay-at-home mom. Working as a stay-at-home Christian mom. When I first started my business, I actually was a newlywed and I didn't have any kids. So my plan at the time was to get my business up and going so that when I had kids, it would pretty much be just in a maintenance phase. It'd be self-sustaining. And all I would have to do is just kind of touch base and work for a little bit and then take care of my family. I just thought it would basically be a well-oiled machine that would run itself and take very little time. What I didn't know or anticipate was that when I started my business, it didn't take off like I had thought it was going to. I thought I would just be like a overnight success, and it definitely was not that way for me. It was a lot of starting and stopping, which I don't recommend. By the time I had kids, it was still in the beginning stages, it felt like. Even though it had been a couple years, it really had not gotten much off of the ground yet. And so when I had my first son, it didn't take too much time to do my work during his nap time. So I didn't really feel the impact of work life and motherhood until I had my second son, which was just over a year later. They were pretty close in age. I didn't realize that I was going to kind of struggle with some guilt and shame. Like, am I even a good mom if I'm working? I'm a Christian. Isn't like a Christian mom supposed to just like stay home and take care of her family? I mean, after all, everybody says that being a mom is the highest calling, right? And it is. It really is. It's the best calling. There's nothing wrong about exclusively being a mom. But there were some feelings in my heart that I wanted to do something more. And so I struggled with reconciling, how can I be a good mom if I want to do something outside of motherhood? Maybe that's not something that everybody struggles with, but for me, I wanted to please the Lord. I wanted to live in the fullness of His will for my life, and I just wasn't quite sure if that meant that I could pursue my dream or continue pursuing my dream of being a business owner and being a mom at the same time. I kept pursuing it because I did feel like the Lord was leading me to pursue it, even though I struggled with doubt. But at the same time, I just kind of carried this sense of shame. Like, yeah, I do believe God is leading me to do this, but I'm probably not a very good mom for doing it, which is so crazy. Like, that's not the way to live. That wasn't setting me up to thrive. That was just a distraction in my life, a distraction from the enemy, really. I was doing what God had called me to do, but I was also struggling with doubt and shame during that phase in life. So maybe you can relate. Maybe you do feel like God has called you to work as a mom, but you just kind of have this sense of disappointment in yourself because you feel like, maybe you feel icky about the time that you're spending away from your family. And here's what I want to encourage you in. First off, your calling is first and foremost unto the Lord, to surrender your life to Him completely. And I want to encourage you to do that if you haven't. I'm just going to proceed as if you already are surrendering your life to the Lord. And so here's what I want to say to that. If you've given your life to the Lord fully and you've said, God, you have your way in my life, and He has led you to work a business as a stay-at-home mom, you can rest in knowing that you're in His will for your life. A lot of that shame and guilt is false. Why are you even feeling guilty? Is it because certain chores aren't getting done? I heard a TED Talk a while back about how chores in general, they're neutral. They're morally neutral. It's not a sin if the dishes have to sit in the sink a little bit longer, okay? So am I saying or condoning that you should have a messy house? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if you're feeling guilty because you're not getting the laundry caught up, or you're not working on dishes, or, whatever it is, they're not a morally charged task. So you can just kind of let some of that false guilt go and then work on ways that you can be more organized. And I plan to share more of that in future videos, so stay tuned for that. But you're doing what God has called you to do. And the enemy would love to come in and distract you from that. And so I'm just here to remind you that if this is what God has put on your heart, it's okay. It's okay if it takes a little longer to get a chore done. It's okay if it all doesn't get done in a day. It probably wasn't going to get done in a day anyway, even if you weren't working your job. And what I found for me personally is that I was feeling guilty when I would sit down to work and, do my tasks in my business, but I wasn't feeling guilty if I spent that time on the phone with a friend or if I was doing the chores. I was mainly feeling guilty only when I was sitting down to do my tasks for my business. That just goes to show me how much the enemy was really trying to stop that part of my calling. I was feeling this sense of shame and guilt only around something that was developing me as a woman and as a leader. So I want you to take note. When you're feeling guilty, is it because you're working your business? Is it because of the time you're taking away from your family? And do you feel guilty when you put that time towards other things that are still not with your family? It's just something to think about. I just want to remind you, Mama, that there is no shame if you feel that God has called you to run a business and work as a mom. Now, there is no shame if you decide that that's not for you and you exclusively want to be a mom. That's beautiful. But it's just as beautiful to fulfill your calling and what God has called you to do. He's called each of us to do different things. For some, it might be exclusively mothering your children. For some, it might be working and parenting. For some, you send your kids to public school. For some, you're homeschooling. Stop accepting some kind of social pressure that you're not a good mom, you're not a good Christian mom if you work a job, or you're less of a mom if you work a job, because that's simply not true. You need to do what God has called you to do. And I believe that being a mom and being a businesswoman, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can be a phenomenal mom and a great businesswoman simultaneously. It's going to take some discipline because working as a stay-at-home mom is a lot. But listen, it's possible, and I know it can be done because I'm actively living that life. Do I have it all together? No. And if I ever say so, call me out. I'm not going to say so because I already know I don't have it all together. But I just want you to know that you can move forward as a working stay-at-home mom or as a working mom without shame. That is false shame, false guilt, and someone needs to call it out because I walked around with that over me for so long. It just bogged me down. So I give you permission to let it go. Sometimes we just need someone to give us permission. This is Morgan Mermuth here, giving you permission that if you feel that you are exactly where God has called you, but you're still struggling with shame and guilt, that is not from the Lord. That is from the enemy, and you need to let it go. You can be a good mom, you can be a good businesswoman, and you can do them at the same time. Another quick free credit here is work hard when you work, play hard when you play. When you're working, be all there if you can be. Sometimes you have young children that won't allow you to fully focus on work, but you try to juggle it. And when you play hard with your family, be all there. You can dismiss work and just be there for your family. Okay? So I hope this has added some value to your life. I hope that you've been ministered to in some way. I just want to encourage you that there is this world for Christian business owner moms. That was a lot to say out there. And so I know life as a Christian business owner and mom can be quite hectic. And sometimes we feel like we can't even think everything through fully. But this is me just telling you that you've got this. If you've liked what I've shared today, I want to, again, invite you over to my Facebook group. It's completely free. Well, obviously, it's Facebook. Anyway, so come on over. I hope to see you over there. I'll drop the link for that group down below in the comments and in the description. I hope to see you over there. Until next time, bye for now.